Okay, so today on the channel, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to have a chat with an enthusiast, a member of the channel, somebody that's followed my channel for quite a long time. And hopefully he's got quite an unusual story. It's going to be kind of almost the same as really talking to Ben and others, but it's going to be more along the lines of a different part of the industry, I think, is where we're going to end up going. So I guess in true Cilla Black style, first question, what's your name and where do you come from?
I am the foreign slot maniac. Um, Used to be the Japanese name. Now I just put it in English because it's easier. Not from Japan, from South London. They're called the foreign slot maniac now because where I live now in Japan, I'm considered foreign. Originally, I used to go around the forums by the name Crazy Bar, among other names. Been part of the forums as well since about June 2005, 13th of June 2005. And been on Fruit EMU to start Fruit Forums, Dead World. They were the first three, and everything kind of snowballed from there.
Okay, so there's two obvious parts to the question. The next question, that is. So, firstly, are you aware that Mr. Justin Winter had to Google translate your name to realise it said Foreign Slot Maniac? And I guess secondly, what got you into fruit machines? How old were you when you started? And give me a bit of a summary around that.
Well, for the start, I did not know that Mr. Winter had to translate my name, but I was very glad to hear that when you said it on the chat or on the video, it was like his name translates from Japanese because could imagine Mr. Winter, bless him, just struggling to say it from Chinese. That's what most other people do. They struggle. They say, "Oh, what's it in Chinese?" Is that, mate? It's not Chinese. Now, as for getting into machines, I think it was in 2000, 2001. No, must have, no, it's 2001, 2002. I was 10 at the time, which is no age really to start playing, especially for someone who lives as far away from the beach as I do, or did. Um, and I don't like saying this. I feel a bit guilty saying it, but I got into it because of my old man, but not in the way you think. And my old man was he was very anti-gambling. In fact, he was very anti-arcade in general. He didn't like wasting money on that sort of thing. So, but one thing we did always do, either as a family or just myself, my brother, and my mother, was we would go to Wales pretty much every school holiday, see family. I loved it there. Bit of fresh air, always was. I've never been a city boy at heart, really. Now, if it was just the three of us, we would always stop at Lade Elamere, and when we're going westbound, and my mother would always give us 50 pence each to go in the arcade. Now, this was bear in mind, this is 2000, so 50p, that could get you a game of House of the Dead. It could get you a game on one of those with Time Crisis, even one of those penalty shootout games that they had there. But when it was my father driving, and if we were lucky enough to stop, he wouldn't give us 50p. He would only give us like 30p each, because 50p is wasted money. So you imagine Lady Elamere westbound at the time. What can you afford to go on in the arcade with 30p? Now, bear in mind there wasn't a claw machine there at the time. No, you got three goes on the fruit machine because that was literally all you could do. So, what was there? There was a funny money which I played. Next to that, in the middle, there was a Templar Treasure, and then there was a Revolution, which I remember was displaying an error or it was switched off. So I played the funny money, and on my last credit, I got what I now know as a board. And when I was on the board, it was flashing these buttons that said high and low, but spelt wrong because that's what they were like. And I had no idea what it meant. I didn't even pay attention to the number. It was just telling me to high low gamble. So I thought, okay, I'll press one of these buttons. So I pressed low, and then I saw this reel with numbers spinning, and it went from a 3 onto a 9 and said unlucky. And in that moment, this was like, there's quite a bit of stuff going on here. I want to be able to actually do it. If you play something like House of the Dead, you've got the guns, you know exactly what you're doing from the get-go. You shoot the zombies, and if you lose, it means you crap at it. But these machines, even if they have everything on the top glass, there was like stages to things. So you didn't know how you could access certain parts of the game. You didn't know what all the buttons did. There was nothing really to tell you what to do. Next time I went back there, it must have been a few months later, I decided, well, I'm going to play it again. So I'd be, what was it, 30, 50p, played him, got on the board again, because I was being jammy then. And I just thought, I'm just going to press this high-low button and see what happens, if I just keep going higher or lower and getting it right or not. I must have been one away from the jackpot, and it lost, but I never knew at the time, because I wasn't even looking at the top glass. I was just looking at the number reel and thinking, okay, what happens next? When does this end? What does it do? And then someone said, next time I'm going to try to see what the pick button does. And it's just like this adventure of knowing, accessing things and being able to play a new machine, which looked difficult at first glance. And then it wasn't like beating the machine, it's just being able to fully enjoy it, for want of a better word. And that sort of snowballed up until, just trying to think. Actually, I don't know when to say the next stage would be, but I suppose, yeah, when I was at Worthing Pier, then I started playing the Tuckney Nudgers rather than the 2p coin pushers or that horse racing game. And I just tried to build up what I could and see how different machines worked. I enjoyed it. Had my first jackpot on that funny money. I think it was the third time playing it. Well, there were some people there helping me. But I was just going along with the flow and enjoying the gameplay. I suppose that's how I got into it, and it just went on from there. Been good, it's been bad. Yeah, I've changed a lot since then, but I'd still love to come back and play them.
Right, so fast forward a little bit from the 10-year-old you and the 30p. It kind of resonates to a story of my own, where my dad gave me £1 at a pub near the Humber Bridge. I think I've told this story before somewhere. And I ended up watching two gentlemen empty a Maygame Monopoly, and of course put my pound into the 10p go machine, or 20p go, I think it were 20p go machine, rather than a 2p one there, which had a much better chance on of winning. But anyway, so fast forward on from being 10-year-old you to when you, I guess, started to properly get into fruit machines, and I'm guessing that's going to be getting nearer to sort of 18 years of age, and then kind of fast forward on again from there to a bit more about when you started playing fruit machines, and I guess where you see yourself within the pecking order before we get to, well, maybe the emulation stuff, which we're going to come to later. I guess online's going to come in now, and various other bits and pieces.
So the transition from just general playing to being online is actually not so long. I started playing maybe, you know what I mean, playing in 2001-ish, 2002-ish. And then I was actually on the forums starting June 2005. So that's still not me becoming a full-time player. In fact, I never really did become a full-time player before I came online. The best way to almost break it down is slightly overlapping timelines and just when I got to play the machines. So for the first couple of years at least, it wasn't often. I'm going to call these the Les Delamere years, I suppose, because that's the only places I really played them and Reading Services Eastbound. So I started on that funny money, and there was a Temple of Treasure. I remember putting 20 pence in that once, and it like spun in 2 jackpots, and I was like, oh my god! So of course I held the other 2 jackpots. It didn't come in, but that's the level we're talking about. Thinking the reels are random and just like really big, so it's randomly or statistically unlikely. And then, yeah, I played the funny money mainly. Then that went for an Austin, and the Revolution went for a Hypnotic, or the other way around, which I was a bit sad about because I like the funny money. They sort of shifted about a bit. Then the next thing I remember, it was just like a pick of the pack, which I did all right off. And I think they also, I don't know if anyone you know told you about it or you've experienced it, they also had a £5 Monopoly 3-player in the under-18s there. Never seen a 3-player low-tech in services before, but, well, in the £5 area, but there you are. And I played the pick of the pack. I did actually okay with it. That's when I started filming. And I put my first video up, I think it was sometime in 2006. Yeah, it was under the old Crazy Bar channel, and I think there was a week or two in 2007, 2008 where I was the biggest Fruit Machine channel on YouTube until Fruit Videos very predictably got the better of it. I played that, and then that turned into Battleships and Cruisers, which got, shafted by a couple of times, but then I also managed to get a jackpot on 2 repeats out of it on 70%. It's like, yeah, you don't normally see that on a £5 bell fruit. Then that got friends. There was like a Bully Star Prize, a Stack Attack, jackpots at Rock and Roll, and that. The Battleships and Cruisers. Then that changed. They all went and they put in Butch Cassidy and Sundance. Then my memory gets a bit foggy because that Butch and Sundance stayed for a long time. But then it was we got like an indie Skulls then, and then it then turned into an old people's clothes shop. So I played from Eastbound and the Westbound, I must have played them all. I never did too badly because how I played, I was always just looking for a couple of quick steals, just see if I can pack boards together and scab a lot of them. I never liked to force or go in too deep, and that showed whenever I was playing. So apart from the services, I played a couple of times in the theme parks. We went to Chessington, we didn't live too far away from there. I usually, after a couple of the big rides, I went round and did all the games in the arcade. Yeah, like I said, scabbing mainly, but you could still walk out with a hefty investment because you didn't really get players there in the best sense of the word. So I usually went there a few times and I could list a lot of the machines that I played time and time again. But it wasn't just because I was didn't want to play the machines, but it was also because there were all sorts of other games I played, so I'd balance it out. I played the Fruit Machines for a bit, I played the Coin Pushers. They had that Luxor, that Frantic Fruits, and you put the coin in, you have to pull the lever to flip it onto the play field. That was always fun. And there was that Pharaoh's Gold by Nova Games, where you had to use a crossbow to shoot the cash. I loved that one. I spent a lot on that over the years. So because of all that, I never really developed the skills so quickly as to be a pro Fruit Machine player. You hear the stories about these 10, 11-year-olds getting on the coast every day, immediately, bang, 2 months, they can play Golden games, they can play Panthers. It took me a long time to get anywhere. It took me like a year to understand overprinted numbers on the reels. But just one day it clicked, and then I just started being able to enjoy the machines a bit more. And yeah, it definitely was more of an obsession rather than a playing obsession. It was just an obsession with the gameplay and the sort of image of them entirely. By about 13, I had a notebook with about 50 machines I'd hand-designed in terms of the gameplay, and that sort of went on throughout my years, even during university. I must have designed hundreds of games, most of them innovative, and I even attempted to make a few documents, send them off to Barcrest, but I never completed them because I always, that sort of self-doubt creeps in, thinking, actually, no, this doesn't look really good at all, or hold on a minute, that doesn't work, that doesn't look like it's any good. And yeah, and then things got busy and I kind of stopped doing that. But what I would have given to actually completed one of them. Successes? Yes, I have to do it in parts because there's so much I want to say. Blessing and a curse of remembering pretty much everything. First jackpot was assisted. That was that funny money one I mentioned earlier. Second, my first unassisted jackpot was it was Centre Parks. It was Longleat, and it was on a honey money that they had there. And I got on the board somehow. I didn't even know it did extreme setups on that. But I got on the board and I noticed that the board had configured itself. There were no mystery positions and no lose positions. Really, really, really. I had to like check all the way around the board to make sure, like numerous times. And then yeah, it was a jackpot board, and if I'd looked harder, I'd have seen that the name would have been flashing. So yeah, that was nice. No repeat, but hey, got myself a jackpot. I ended up, yeah, most of the time I actually ended up profiting off collecting your 3 quids, your 4 quids, as I said. Played a lot of those globals, a lot of collect on mystery machines. And I suppose just the exposure or the number of different machines I played, remembering what they looked like and how they acted. I think that's how I sort of built upon this knowledge base. And I moved that into Emulation, which I joined in 2005. Started from an eBay disc, as I did. I think my father bought me one of them, and it was just like, wow, I've got all these different machines to play. And you know, you'd think you'd be loading them up expecting the newest ones, and I didn't get the newest ones because, well, Emulation didn't have them in those days. But we certainly had, you know, the Mega AM ones, the Bellfruit Sculptors, and because I'd been to Littlehampton a couple of times, I was familiar with them as well. Okay, so Emulation, which I said I'd go into more detail, got involved 13th of June 2005. That's when I signed up to Fruity MU. And I went there, you know, initially to download some more layouts. I typed in Fruit Machine Emulation onto Google after getting the disc, just to see if they were like-minded, or even, I don't want to say Wikipedia, because I don't even know if Wikipedia existed then or not. I can't remember that much. But I went there to Fruity MU, found, oh, they've got layouts, I'll download them. Downloaded a couple, some DXs to boot my classic collection. Signed myself up after a bit and got talking. It was a bit of a rocky start, honestly, for me on the forum, but ended up being able to get involved properly. Made a bit of my name for myself under Crazy Bar. Now, at the time, the forum landscape from FME was very different. There wasn't any Desert Island Fruits. The Mecca was around. Dad's FME, that was around. But there are a few websites that were being hosted either by Fruity MU or simply being endorsed, I suppose is the word. There was one called Dead World, run by one of the old admins, Hurton165. I was part of that. He was at university and I was still in. I hadn't even thought about my GCSEs at the time. I think that was the age gap then. But it was somewhere I could fit in and chill out. And there was a place called the Wasteland, which was even bigger. That's gone now, I think. My goodness me. I mean, things change. But I did what I could to, you know, be part of them. I wasn't perfect by any means. I ended up getting to a couple of arguments over Fruity MU, or simply just misstepping in a way over certain issues. One of them especially being the whole MFME V9 leak and that. But bygones be bygones. Went on, became a moderator there in the end by the end of 2008, and stuck that out until about 2011, 2012. In the end, I just sort of went away from the forums, sort of branched out, and also the sort of real world gambling took a bit of a hold. Not a very healthy hold, honestly, but it took a hold. As for jackpotting in the real fruit machines, I was involved in that since, I want to say 2006. There used to be a YouTuber called GY Fruit Vids, or Richie GY. I hope he's doing well for himself now. I know that he got out of the game, or he quit the game, and he's doing other things in life. I've always have wished him well, and I've not contacted him since something like 2008. And he was someone higher up in Jackpot Forums UK, not Jackpotty. It wasn't called Jackpotty then. And Jackpot Forums UK went through a fair few, is an understatement, different versions of itself. mainly due to the antics, I want to say, of the then owner. I'll name him Matt. Well, that's his. I'm not going to say his full name, but Matt. And yeah, I followed along every time things happened there. So Jackpotty forums that came up. I can't even remember. Honestly, I can't remember when Jackpotty forums came up as a thing. But yeah, Gambo, the owner of that, he made sure we had a proper solid base to go by. I used to be able to post my days. I posted them since 2007, just saying what I did on the £5 jackpots at the time, and giving long, detailed my days and interesting people with these players and stuff, just as an enthusiast or as a more compulsive player, just what I've been playing and how I've been playing it, and posting my own little theories. I never really had any tricks. I mean, in terms of the pecking order, I was towards the bottom, and it's almost like I had no interest in joining the pecking order, because I would just have been in it would have been a bit of a commitment in a way. But in the end, I I did end up finding a few bits out, and I didn't. Well, I found out what machines had things on them, but I didn't know how to exactly do them. And I wasn't particularly interested because I wouldn't have been old enough to play the pub machines. Yeah, being 15, 16, 17 when I was that age, it was nigh on impossible to get served in a pub, and you could pretty much just risk losing all your money because someone decides to kick you out. So I decided not to really bother too much with that. But I did befriend a couple of players just by saying, look, I know this machine's around and there's something on it. Here's a location for you. Knock yourself out. That's how I mainly did things. That was almost back in the MSN days as well. I ended up chatting to a few players. I don't even know how I got contacted with them back there, but it was Gary Chandler, and yeah, he was around at the time. Um, Rick from down the south. I bumped into him once or twice, just when I was here and there, and we didn't really exchange too many pleasantries. We just acknowledged that each other existed. He's probably forgotten about me now, to be honest, but he was about his business, I was about mine. Just completely different levels. But yeah, after Jackpot Forums, of course, we had Jackpotty Forums, we had all the meets. That's when I met the guys. I met Dom for the first time in 2009, and I met a fair few other people just over the years. Got my friends involved with that. But Jackpotty, or Jackpot Forums at the time, was not my first meet. Now, my first meet was actually on November 3rd, 2007. And this was with a group of people who I stuck around with for a few years. It was down in Worthing. It was a lad called Scott and a couple of his mates. And we were young. We were still, 15, 16, I think, at the time. I should know that. No, you were 16 because, I mean, Jesus Christ, I can't forget my own date of birth. But yeah, I went to Worthing with a friend. I think it was September 2007. Recorded a few videos, and somehow, I mean, this is showing my. It's not just show. It's not showing my age. It's showing the sort of a primitive scale YouTube had. I had a comment on my video 2 weeks later saying, "Oh my God, we saw some kid filming in Worthing Pier," and I thought, I spoke to my friend, "Hey, it's crazy bar," and fucking hell, it actually was. And so I got into contact with this chap via this comment. Yeah, we were about the same age, and we hit it off. We was on MSN. We talked every day. Oh, it takes me back. And November 3rd, we all decided to meet up. We went to Worthing. We had a good laugh. We played the five quidders. We just spawned things off Monopoly, collected pounds, £2, £3 here and there. Going off our old sort of layman's knowledge theories. and life was good. We'd meet up maybe once every 2, 3 months, head down to Worthing, play the machines on the pier and the Lido, in the bowling alley and wherever else. We wouldn't make astronomical money at all. That wasn't really the key, but we'd go down, we'd do our best, we'd like crowd around KFC or whatever, have a proper dinner, and then not long after that I'd probably be off to Wales again and hitting up Lake Delamere and all that. Um, that was my first time meeting. I kept up to date with them until about 2010, I think. And then we just basically, yeah, Worthing really wasn't worth it, and we all moved on to different things. Again, I wish them well. They're doing well for themselves. So yeah, fair play. But I suppose that's how I really got into the whole machine stuff. I never ever considered myself anywhere on the pecking order, but I enjoyed playing the games, and I enjoyed, just getting a few quid here and there. I was never popular in school, but when they saw me get a tenner out of a machine, they wanted to know me for maybe an hour or two, and then it was back to normal again. But hey, that's how it is. I never grew up around fruit machine players. I never had a fruit machine playing family. In fact, my brother got banned by my mother from playing the machines because he lost 50p and threw a, I don't know what you call it, through a wobbler, I suppose. And that was that. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Um, going forward to anything else, and there was one thing I wanted to ask you, and it was like, did you have any sort of like, how the hell did the foreign slot maniac know X, Y, Z? Just all these random nuggets of machine knowledge.
So I'm now listening to your comments. One thing I will say is you touch on areas like Chessington, and I found that with Alton Towers and various other places, even Blackpool Pleasure Beach when they started charging to go onto the Pleasure Beach. A lot of places were better for playing fruit machines when you had to pay to get on, because the scabs, as you would call them, the people that sort of would just literally go and scab machines down seaside resorts, etc., 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 don't like having to pay a big fee to get on in the first place. Okay, so we've touched on your first meet, first time you met people. I'm assuming that kind of expanded a little bit as you were online and you were part of groups and you were part of forums. I mean, I was part of groups and forums, but we're like 99, 2000, and it's quite underground. And then as things I started to come offline, and we became less visible, I guess, as players, and we tried to control things within our own groups so information didn't spread. Things like jackpotty, that sort of stuff sort of appeared, of which I was never a member of any of these things. So where do you go from there? I also think the filming on Worthing Pier in those days, like, that's probably quite groundbreaking, really, if you think about it. Because I know people do YouTube now, but YouTube back in the day, I mean, people didn't use YouTube, did they? I mean, I wouldn't have known what YouTube would have even been, I don't think, back in sort of the mid 2000s, at like 2005, 2006, 2007, I wouldn't have known. I mean, I'd been out on the road still playing, but I wouldn't have, it wouldn't have even been a thing. So I think the fact that you were posting videos at such a ridiculously early stage, and you can say, I was the biggest YouTube channel for a while doing fruit machines, is probably a massive, massive thing. And there's loads of people out doing various videos these days, and technology's moved on an awful, awful long way. But I think it's firstly kudos to you for doing videos in the first place. I remember watching some of your videos, but nowhere near as early as that.
What was I going to say? Yeah, the first meet. Yeah, it wasn't even. It was just so unexpected that I would receive a comment like that. I think I was part of Jackpot Forums UK and that at that time, because it would be in 2007. So I think I started early 2007 there, and well, even before that. And the forum hadn't really got big enough. There are a few of us kicking about. I think that's where, like, I knew Dom from his videos, and I think he signed up there. And there's a few other people, like I said before. It didn't really generate, or didn't gel well enough because of, like I said, the then owner's antics. And you might wake up one day and it was gone, and then it would come back and it was gone again. But I think it, it finally did hit its stride about 2009, and that's when we could start actually thinking about having meets and getting everyone together, and there was a solid user base. That's when it kicked off properly. University, at that time, I was in university 2010, that made the meets all the more accessible. Something to save up for. They did their own overnighters. We went to Butlins, we went to Scotland because the Jackpotty Scottish members asked, and then a lot of them bailed before it even started. That's another story, I suppose. I don't know too much about it. But yeah, as for the filming, you know what? I don't even know why. I didn't really have an MO about it, or I didn't really have a big reason or goal. I was with my camera, and I was taking a few pictures of some machines that I thought maybe I could give them to the forum, they could emulate them. Spoiler, they couldn't, because the photos had a flash and the machines were still on, which are two no-nos. But I just thought one day, well, if I'm taking photos of what they look like, why don't I take a video of just showing the gameplay? Someone might like it, someone who doesn't get to play these machines much anymore, someone who gets to see just, winning a little bit of money here and there. One of the little signature touches I did was I always film the money coming out after I'd grab it with my hands after finished playing off my quid. I needed multiple takes. I didn't want to be putting in more than £1 on camera. Well, YouTube had all these limitations back then, which was that was kind of something. But yeah, I think I did have the biggest channel. I think it was only for about 2 weeks to a month, and I guess that was towards the end of 2007 or a bit earlier than that, because I remember there was another guy, younger-ish, or just around my age, Dave from Brighton. He had a machine or two. He used to film Brighton, the Madeira Walk Arcade with his friend, and he had like quite a few machines at home that he used to film. So he was there. He kind of dropped off, and I was coming up, and I had about 200 subscribers, so get in, which was a lot then. And it was like Dave was dropping off, I was coming up, I was recording more and more, and Spar was Fruit Videos, he was recording more than me, and he was coming up faster than I was. So I wanted to try and get my little shot in the spotlight before he took over. And then when he took over, the rest was history. And it was only really until Dom came along that people started actually speaking in their Fruit Machine videos. That's where we got all those catchphrases. That's where we get, they get their fudge in there and have that and stuff like that. And that's where it wasn't just the gameplay, but there was a bit more personality going on as well. So yeah, it kind of went to a bit of a cringeworthy phase, but at least in 2009 I had my golden period when I was filming. It was from I think January 26, 2009 until about February, March, maybe April. It really hit the maximum time where me going out with near enough zero clues, really, or I did have some knowledge, but it was like worthless on the £5 that I had access to. I made quite a bit of money. Well, for me, and I was quite happy about that. What I want to do now, actually, is finish this message. I want to I want to talk about the golden time of 2009, because I don't know, you might want to hear it, just someone who just enjoys machines, making quite a bit of money, for someone of his caliber. Yeah, it's only like it's nothing groundbreaking, but I was really happy at the time because it was just, yeah, loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure I would love to hear that. So, the groups, or certainly the online element of Fruit Machines, spawned an awful lot of players. I mean, you go back to before your time. Um, the first real massive influx of players probably was when the forums started to get created. And that was kind of a bit underground. And then all of a sudden, Vivids appeared. When Vivids appeared, we got what's called the Vivid player, who started during the Vivid era, because it was just so easy. And then, yeah, as you move on through and the jackpots start to go up and you start to meet more and more people, you get information, loose lips and all that. So people end up sharing information. You start to get a little bit. So yeah, let's hear about the next part then. So I guess you're now in back into 2009 mode. What happened?
You catch me in the fifth busiest station in the world. I think it still is. So I was saying, yeah, just a few notes myself. Vivid methods. Never knew how to do them. I heard about them, and I was like realizing I was obviously too late to actually play them, and I wouldn't. By the time I actually saw one, it would have either been chipped or they'd be long gone. Because I was a good boy. I didn't go into the pubs underage or anything like that. No, not me. And yeah, I think I did hear about what the Vivid players did. We had the Vivid method, and it was some sort of a revolutionary event in terms of players. That's how things changed in a way, and everything got a bit more public, and people realised they could start making a lot of money off these machines, more so than just forcing them. Changed a lot of the machines we saw in the pubs. It changed the whole dynamic of playing did go through quite an overhaul just because of them. I remember Pickle Reels did the same thing, Extremes kind of did the same thing, Panthers and stuff, you could argue about it. But by the time they came around, the 70s came around, I mean, the forums were in full swing. Jack Posse was always more of a casuals board. It wasn't, wasn't full of the players or the big talkers like Fruit Chat was at the time. It wasn't underground or anything, it was just casuals who liked to drink and liked to gamble and sharing how they got their odd jackpots. There were a few players on there, but they never posted anything that would have been valuable or volatile information at the time. It's just people enjoying themselves, and that's certainly what I did. Now, 2009 came along, and the golden period came along, which was through sheer dumb luck that I managed to get away with as much money as I did. It started January 2009. This time, I was able to do extremes. I think I was able to. I was able to play Panthers, and not particularly much else in terms of knowing playing. It was just me going by my wits and gut instinct, knowing when to collect things and prizes and stuff, and knowing how to be a professional scabber. Not like a rat or an arcade rat, but just knowing when to collect my prize, move on, or play for another board, or try my luck, and things just worked. I remember we played in London. We had the Namco station, we got barred from later on in the year, and there was a Trocadero with its selection of machines. And yeah, 1 January, not too long after New Year, walked out of London with 46 quid extra profit in my pocket. Now that was pretty good. The Extreme just seemed to play well, or I seemed to be able to set it up nicely for some chained together boards. Everything else, kicked out a few jackpots. The red in Namco always used to play quite well. The jackpot genie was hit and miss, but the take two was always golden. Monopoly Road to Riches down there was fantastic always. And I just couldn't go wrong whatever I touched. Then I started going to Woking the bowling alley, the Big Apple, with a friend who used to go there by himself and play the machines. I used to go along with him, join him. I didn't like gambling alone at the time. And I managed to get a few good wins, like 2 times in a row. Once I managed to streak a 5 crown Crazy Fruits off 10p, not the low tech, the high tech. 10p in, I managed to get nudges for jackpot. Next credit, mad for it. And I went on a good run of mad for it boards until I think I must have had 6 jackpots out of it, 6 or 7. I think there's 4 mad for it and 1 jackpot before, 2 after, which weren't from mad for it, but from skill stops and features and stuff. And everything else, there was a Space Raiders there. He did the golden game. I played all the other high techs, and there were jackpots all over the shop. Then I went to Simmons Yacht in Wales, which is one of those Dantir arcades, but it's one that not many people visit. It's like its other inland arcade. That's he has the Stourbridge or Stourport on 7. He also has the inland one in Simmons Yacht West Leisure Park near Ross on Wye. I used to go there near enough every year. Like I went there pretty much 3 times a year at least since summer 2005. This was this was February 2009, February half term. I went there to do the extremes over and do my usual routine and enjoy the games. All the high techs are off. Okay, sometimes they have problems opening up on time. This time we waited half an hour, all the high techs are still off, the low techs were still on. I knew how to freeze nudge on red, white and blues and big tops and stuff. So I decided, I'll just wait for the high techs to come and I'll play them. And yeah, I managed to make 30 quid off the 3 players. And the low techs, again, spawning stuff. I managed to do me party time setup. I held them all for the one of the X-Win nudge tricks on party time, and that went up for like 20 odds. I freeze nudge mix and freeze nudge blues on the other machines, and yeah, just turn away a profit. And then collected a bank from one of the games, and as soon as I looked up, the machine was off. The alarm was going. I went outside because it wasn't the machine alarm, it was like the burglar alarm or something. Power had all gone. Went outside and there was a fire in the electrical box. I'm thinking, oh Jesus Christ, it's ruined it. It ruined my day. So I went back home. I went back to where I was staying. And I don't know, I had a feeling, I'll come back later. Yeah, they might have fixed it. I took the next bus up that way, and they had fixed it, and all the high techs were on. All the other machines were on. I didn't play the low techs, so I've done them. Then I made another 30 quid off the high techs. I had done very well on the services on the way there. I did very well on the way back. I had something like 5 quid in my pocket. I turned it into about 100. That was good. And then I was saving up to do, for a holiday. So in April, I put, I'd had all my money in pound coins put aside. I decided I'm going to go up to London, go for a bit of a play with my friend. He's going to do most of the playing. I'll help him out on a few things. I'll have myself a Chinese. I took with me something like £7.50 and a rechargeable Oyster card. So I could travel around. I had me 5 quid, which would get me the all-you-can-eat Chinese. Thank you, Mr. Wu. You will never be forgotten. And I had 250 just in shrapnel to play machines. Now, this is when things got a little bit interesting. Put me 250 in there. I think it was the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, 5 quidder. Managed to get the jackpot, no repeat. I thought, I've got my money for the Chinese. Let's just go and play the other machines. Went on the Monopoly Road to Riches. It dropped me an Invincible for 15 quid. Next quid or so, Super Skill Stop. Messed that. Put about 10 in. Got another Invincible in that for another 15 quid. Took some afters. Got 15 off take 2. I managed to get a couple of mega streaks on the bounce on one of that deal, 5 quidder. It wasn't the rounding one. It didn't streak ever. Went up to the Trocadero. Did very well there. I managed to get the maximum, like that full run out of the Bullseye Classic 5 quidder, the £25 mega, followed by the other megas and the afters and stuff, and made a lot on that. I didn't even remember how often I won because the winnings just kept coming. Like, I just looked back on my videos and there was me sitting with a bank of 20 quid on this low-tech Crazy Fruits. I don't know how I got that 20 quid. Obviously, it done a run of keys. I finished the day off by going back to that Lord of the Rings. I'd done the extreme mode. I think I got like a jackpot and bits out of that. Went on the Lord of the Rings, £5 jackpot, first feature shot, hit Frodo's fivers. Got the pot off that. And then, I don't know how much later it was, I can't remember, might have been £1 or two. Went in Vince, £15, called it a day. £2.50, and I profited £120 just by scabbing or being very, very lucky on £5 jackpots. Made a few more 20-30 quid profits in Woking, and then unfortunately, well, all good things come to an end. I started losing again. Didn't change my play anymore, but you know, just that's what happened afterwards. Getting that much cash on the £5 it was quite something, even for someone, you know, old enough to get a part-time job. I just got all that entertainment for nothing, didn't I? Good question. Did I have any empties? Well, when I was younger, yes and no. I had knowledge that certain machines were being done. I wasn't in the stage of life or financial life where I was able to go out and actually do any of them. But I did understand that the machines could be emptied if someone found something wrong on them. And, you know, even if it's deliberate or whatever. I did have access to a couple of empties, which didn't get chipped out. Of course, one of them was Cabin Fever, getting Ziggy and the lot. When I was in Simmons Yacht back in, this was after 2009, so like 2010, and I chanced upon finding if they were emptyable, and these cabins were doable. They hadn't been like, they didn't have any sort of chips or any settings done like other ones. However, they didn't round, so I couldn't empty them, but I could certainly leave them absolutely shockingly off. And would you believe it, in October 2009, in the Woking bowling alley, they put a Getting Ziggy on £5. I'm not joking. October 2009, Getting Ziggy £5 was out there, and I enjoyed it very much. Thank you. But when I was younger, did I have empty? Well, I knew tricks. I knew ways to make money, like the extremes and stuff that other complete clues or, you know, just caravan holiday makers wouldn't know. And yeah, I did quite well. My main problem was not actually leaving the machines to settle long enough. I'd want to go back there one day, and then I'd go back there 2 days later, and I'd do me bollocks in, for want of a better word. But I think my fruity knowledge in general, I'm not going about like player knowledge, but just general knowledge, what machines did what they looked like, the photo quizzes and stuff. I think I benefited 3 ways. I think one was a photographic memory. The second was I played anything that moved. And the third was the places I went, so like Simmons Yacht, Danta's place, the services, I went to Barry, I went to Worthing a lot, I went to all these dingy arcades and stuff where anything could turn up. I could expect anything as well. And it just all culminated, and well, it's accumulated inside my mind. I don't know at the expense of what other useful life skills, but it's there. And yes, thank you very much for the quiz back in 2022. It's just, all that effort has actually paid off in some way, shape or form.
So it's a really cool little story that I reckon a lot of people will be able to resonate with, because a lot of people would have thought similar sort of thing, go around and just start winning, making money. Obviously not to a pros level. Did you ever get any empties, or were you always down the bottom of the, say, in your words that you said to me earlier, food chain? Obviously not part of the chat, but was there anything you actually got? Did you actually experience any of the tricks, any of the empties? Like, that's probably the next place to go to, I think.
Actually, now I said that, just off the back of it, I would also like to mention that I did work a couple of things out myself. I think they were probably things that were already worked out by players beforehand, probably long time beforehand. But it's stuff I never found out, and it's stuff that I used on the emulator because I've never actually found the machines in real life. I found there was a little jackpot rip on Vivid's Atlantic / Bottle Bank / Hop Idol of the feature Eighth Wonder or the equivalent. I worked out how to get the jackpot rip off Devil of a Deal, which was vivid again. I think, yeah, actually, any of the pogo stick machines, they had that jackpot rip in them from high, low, and the cash amounts. And yeah, worked out something on a little Android. Oh, not an Android. Oh, Jesus Christ, no, not Android. It was something on the Samsung D500. There was a fruit machine game which you could manipulate into always giving nudges and eventually giving wings if you just scabbed it, and eventually a big one come in. And then when I was playing on Facebook with Lucky Gem Casino, I found out a rip myself for them, and then they chipped it, and I got bummed.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a 2024 quiz, I think, because John Mincher, myself, you, um, and Just have all sort of mentioned may do one. So I think there will be a quiz at Christmas with a bit of luck. Hopefully, with not me writing every single question or me and Just writing them all, so get a bit of variety from them. So that will probably happen. I would imagine it should be nice, and I enjoyed doing the quiz. It was something a bit different, something I'd never done on the channel before, and I was like, yeah, why not? Let's try something, and it was well received and fun. I think the people that took part enjoyed, and I would think, on the basis that my channel's probably grown a bit since then, that if we do another one this year, there's going to be more people wanting to do it. So yeah, I'm sure we can arrange a few prizes and that, and make it a bit of fun. Going to go back to your channel again now. So I had a little look on your channel. Saw some of the videos I'd watched, because obviously it shows you a history of what you've watched, and the ones that I hadn't watched. And some of your videos go back 17 years, which is an awful, awful long time ago. What inspired you to do the videos when you decided to do the videos, and also, um, were you must have been the first. Yeah, there can't have been anybody else before that. I know Spar came along and did 3 videos, which you've already alluded to, but yeah, you must have been the first.
Oh yes, the quiz was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed it. But I think if there is a Christmas 2024 one, what I'm gonna do is might not participate as a participant. Oh Jesus Christ, I hate overusing words. But I did say to myself, if a 2024 quiz comes, I will write some of the questions. Be a part of the organisation. Um, who knows? If I did it with myself, I might get a good score. But it'd be nice to let someone else, really, take it home. So I'd be happy to deliver some questions. I can make some nice ones. I can make some absolutely disgustingly horrible ones. Just let me know. Um, was I the first person? I think I might have said in an earlier clip, no, I wasn't. There were 1 or 2 people before me. One of them was a joker, who later turned out to be one of my first meet friends, who recorded the cancel trick on Apollo 9. But like this, there was a guy from Brighton who had a few machines in his flat, and then he went out to the arcade on Madeira Drive with his friend, and he was recording machines as well. He wasn't recording them on a great camera phone because they didn't exist back in the day, but he was the person who was doing them before me. And why did I do them again? I don't know, because I enjoyed watching the ones from the guy who did them first, and like they weren't so much machines. They were just like, let me fill my day out with my mates, and it just so happens we're playing fruit machines. I knew him back from FME in well, he was back in the 2005 era as well. Can't go in too much into the character. There's a few things, but he was a nice chap in person, and yeah, because he was recording his day, which happened to include bandits, I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to record my own bandits. It might be nice. People take pictures of them. Why doesn't anybody else record them? Yeah, I don't know why people didn't record them really, and that's why I sometimes don't know why I started. But it was nice for me to look back on. I suppose I can get very nostalgic very quickly. I'm glad I've done them as well, because obviously the family members that we went to visit aren't here anymore. They passed about 12 years back, and before that, I think. So we still go. Well, my family still go and visit. I can't go back that often at all. I was meant to go back in 2020, but well, that didn't happen. Obviously, did it? So emulation, is that my window now? In a way, yes, it is. But your videos are also there. The problem with emulation again is, well, emulation is fantastic for so many reasons. But one problem is it's just me forcing out my own machines again. I've not actually learnt to set up the autoplay on it, and so I could enjoy going to a pub when I was at uni and just forcing out the count your cash or the Barcross flickers. You can't do that on the emulator because you get bored of it. You do the 32 quid trick and then you leave it and it's like, what have I done? But it's a lovely throwback, and the machines and the layouts are fantastic. I've made a couple myself. Maygay's Bank Raid, the one which is like an extreme but with a Maygay badge. I made the classic for that. I've made the classic for Casino, your favourite extreme, which is always 2 quid and dead in Maidstone. I made the classic for that. It's mute at the moment, unfortunately. Get Dave to dump the sound ROMs and don't just give them to bloody Freedom Fruits. But yeah, I love the emulation, but yeah, I also do like your channel, and I like what you're doing promoting the retro stuff. I'll just make another thing about that in a minute.
And this also kind of brings me back a little bit into emulation again now. So we've obviously not living in the UK and living in Japan. Is this kind of your window to fruit machines? Because I know you watch my videos at weird ass times, because obviously you're completely different part of the world and have different sleep patterns to me and different days and nights and stuff. So I'll often wake up to comments that you've made on videos. Is emulation kind of your window to still get that buzz from machines?
Yeah, and what I want to say is that the thing I really appreciate about you making your videos, and people like JD Slots, Crazy Reels when he did, is that you're really helping preserve the retro arcades. You're not just filming stuff for the sake of getting views, putting some awful thumbnails and clickbait and stuff, like some of the digital streamers or videos. They've got their own operation going on, so fair play to them. It's not my thing. And preserving the arcades, like preserving a bit of what the UK used to be like in a way. I mean, arcades were dingy, weren't they? They're dingy, they're badly run. The people who work in the cash boxes were usually proper world-weary blokes who didn't suffer fools gladly. And the machines could nick your money, and they weren't particularly nice places to be. But they are particularly not nice places to be. Now, with all the rules and everything else, we're just getting these American-style arcades. And it's like, if you want to go to an American-style arcade, save your money up and go to America. Go to Vegas. They've got, the arcades are fantastically run. They're bigger, the prizes are better. They're more lit up, they're better maintained. Why is the UK trying to create a poor version of American stuff? You watch enough TV, you realise that America are the people who are supposed to create a poor version of our stuff. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, the kids will like it, and the arcades are coining it in, but I'm a bit old-fashioned, I suppose. I'm old school in that sense. I loved all the old fruit machines. I don't like digis. You probably know that already. I won't ever say that on your channel, because you can film what you want. I never like posting negative things on people's channels unless they try and big themselves up more than they actually deserve. Because yeah, at the end of the day, if I wanted to watch something else, I'd go out and I'd bloody record it myself. I will also tell you about the that jackpot ears I was playing. That was the last time I came back in 2017. I'll tell you about that as well, actually, the whole trip, because I actually made quite a bit of money at Peace. The only time I've made money at Peace, because I usually just stay there and do me brains in, even though I end up with a profit after the first half hour.